I'm Somya, and you're listening to Philosopreneur, where we explore the intersection and integration of the philosopher and entrepreneur. Today's guest is Imed Djabi. Imed is a creator, designer, and writer exploring the unknown while making a living out of it. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hello, Imed. Thank you for joining me on the Philosopreneur podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So perhaps we can start by maybe you just sharing a little bit more about yourself, what you do, where you are right now, and anything else you feel like our audience should know.
It's the the most complicated question, that right? Especially for me. So yeah, I can give like a quick intro, I guess. I'm a brand and web designer, creator, and writer. That's the best way I can explain right now. And other than that, me and you, we met on Twitter. What, like 6, 7 months ago now?
Yes,
I assume.
yes,
Yeah, passed by quickly. And now here we are
yes.
on your
Here we
podcast.
are. Yep. Like how did you get into the work that you do right now? How long ago was it, and what drove you to do all of this?
Great question. I was also always on art, doing drawing, all of that stuff, and I became interested with code. So I learned like PHP, HTML, CSS, and I thought that I wasn't good enough with design because I was seeing all of beautiful designs back then. That's like maybe what, in 2007 maybe. And yeah, I just wanted to become good, so I become obsessed with that, like everything that is related to design, online, offline. But I never thought that I could have made a living out of it. So unfortunately, I stopped and I just became interested with money, everything that is related to money, how to make money. I jumped into that and forgot about my passions. So yeah, tried everything else under the sun, side hustles, unlocking iPhones, selling, snapbacks, uh, what else? Uh, e-commerce. I was an FBA, sports betting, which was my most lucrative kind of business. And the way that I came into design as a freelancer is because of one of my friend. He opened a car wash, and I went there to congrats him, and he told me he just made a website, and he wanted me to give him my feedback. So I went to the website. I was like, "How much did you pay for that?" And he told me $2,000, and I was like, "What?" It was extremely garbage, like complete garbage. Anyway, I was like, "Okay, yeah, if he paid $2,000 for that, I can do way, way better than that." And I was like making websites still for my own personal projects, for my brand, for the sports betting website, and so on. So I always still kept doing websites, even though it wasn't my profession. But yeah, I went straight into freelancing. But I lacked the business aspect. So I struggled for a long time up until now, which is still the area where I lack, I'd say, expertise, but more skills. And yeah, I'm just starting to see the fruits of all of those struggles up until now. But that's how I got to into design, freelancing, and now, yeah, on Twitter, writing.
Nice. That's amazing. So it sounds like you were pretty entrepreneurial from a very young age. How old do you think you used that sense of, I got to make money I got to let go of this drawing and design, and I need to think about money. When did that enter your consciousness?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I came from Algeria, and I won't say like I, lacked of anything or whatever. I had a pretty decent, more than decent education, and I never, um, you know, was in need of something per se. But if there was one thing that I didn't have, it was the ability to get outside and walk down a park and play basketball. There wasn't any damn basketball court where I lived in Algeria. And that was the only one thing that pissed me off so bad. But yeah, so that's how I killed my time. Basically, I was shooting um, rolled paper, into the like the small crack on the store. That's how I played basketball. That's how I practiced. And when I wasn't doing that, I was drawing. And so when I came to Canada and I saw that there's a court everywhere, I was like, yeah, I need a basketball ball. Like that's what I want. And my father was like, I don't have the money for you to, to buy a basketball ball right now. We just came into Canada, bro. Like, chill out, chill. So I didn't have my basketball ball for at least a year. So like there's strict money management with my father, and I understand that like 1,000%. And so I was killing time with again like computer. Didn't We didn't have a computer yet when we came, so it took some time. I was going to the library, which was free with subscription. Yeah, when you are under 18, something like that. Anyway, I was killing my time there all the time, and that's where I started, you know, learning things. I met some people there. I don't really remember who they were, but I saw they were reading things online. And before in Algeria, we didn't really have internet access all the time. So we had kind of software similar to Wikipedia but offline. So it's like think of it as a database with a lot of knowledge that you can search and you have access to without internet. So I was losing my time again, killing my time with that, trying to learn things. It was in French, Arabic, and so on. I don't remember the name, but it was amazing. And I lost that software when we came here. I don't know. It was maybe just available there, and that's when I discovered Wikipedia, and then down a rabbit hole, discovered a lot of other things. Start playing a game named Dofus. That's how I became, an addict playing this game. But that's actually also how I got into graphic design, because I got into a guild, and that guild had a forum. So I went to the forum, and then down a rabbit hole again. You see this person on the guild is on another guild, and they have MySpace, they have Facebook, they have this, they have that, and yeah, I mean, started photoshopping like my character, doing banners, and then I learned about mascots. So there are some websites who pay mascot designers to like design whatever a mascot for their own guild, their own forum in the game. Like they're paying like $100, $150. I was like, okay, there's a way to make money with that. Down a rabbit hole again. But still, even though I was, addicted to the game, I had money on my mind still. So I was still looking for a way to make money. And that's, yeah, after I went into high school, I met a lot of people. And then you see someone doing that. I want to do the same thing. So tried a lot of things. That's how I went into, I learned about DHgate. So before even knowing Alibaba, it was DHgate. And I learned the concept of buying a lot of things for a cheaper price and then reselling actually for the same price. And that's how I got into it, arbitrage. Didn't even know those terms, right? Didn't know those terms. I don't know, like buy, sell, buy, resell, whatever. And yeah, it was funny. It was funny. So I started with selling, it's called like snapbacks. It was, fake snapbacks, but still, I wasn't saying that it was original, because originals were like what, $40, $45. I don't know. Mine, I was selling them for $20, and they cost me, I think, $7 when I buy like around 100. In a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's really amazing. So could you just remind me how old you were? Like probably a
Oh, yeah, I
teenager?
was teenager. Yeah, when I started playing this game, I was 14 years old or 13, maybe. It's what, say secondary one on high school. Yeah, I
Wow.
think. Yeah.
I mean, that's really impressive that you were so driven. Did you have some kind of goal in mind? Like, I mean, was it, or I guess when one is young, I mean, that sense of, especially maybe as a guy, having to make money. I don't know, did you see someone that you admired and you wanted a life like that theirs, or what, what was it? What was driving you so much? I guess your family had just moved from Algeria to Canada, so maybe things were a little bit rough. Was that what it was? You wanted to provide to your family, or did you have a vision for yourself?
Selfish reasons, actually. So when I started designing, and you know, I was just tired of asking. My father was giving me what, like $5 per week, so that's $20 per month. So I saved around. Sometimes he would give me more. I'm like, yo, give me $20 this time, and so I saved $500 in a year. I wasn't spending a single dollar. And that was like the best life ever, right? You go to the pizzeria, it's $2 the slice. That was my diet. Pizza, coming back home and eat more, and cafeteria in school, which was, I wasn't paying for that. And yeah, that was my diet. So I wasn't spending money at all. And I wanted to have money to buy. It's called Wacom Bumbu. That's like a tablet that you can use to draw in Photoshop directly. I really wanted that, and I wanted to buy my own clothes. Like do everything on my own. That's like selfish reasons. Yeah, I just was tired to ask money to my father, and I never actually took a single dollar from my parents since I was 15 years old, maybe. Yeah, since that, like, I either I would say, I don't know if I want to say that, but yeah, at some point I was stealing clothes. Like I went to like stores, and I'll steal like maybe 3, 4 T-shirts, and I'll do that one time every 3 months. And yeah, that's how I was keeping my money and not spending because it was expensive. I was like, I saved $20 this month, and I'm gonna what spending on 2 T-shirts? I don't want to do that. I'm gonna store it. I'm gonna steal it. So yeah, it's not the best way to do it, but that was my way. So like I'd say my morals weren't on the top, but still, it was a great experience. Great experience.
Yeah, that that's super funny. Um, so I mean, it's been, you're 28 now, and
Yeah.
that was when you were 15. So, it's almost been like 13 years or so. So your perception of money making and entrepreneurship must have evolved by now. So what does entrepreneurship mean to you today?
And I think it's more about helping people. I understood that. I'd say recently, what, like two 1 year ago, actually. 1 year ago, I'd say, yeah, 2 years ago. Because when I started freelancing, again, it was really centered into doing everything for yourself, getting client for yourself. Even if you say you want to help XYZ, it's not true. I help, I don't know, creators build their personal brand. Like, is that really what you do? um, you're doing for yourself, so you're not really helping people. Like, otherwise, I don't know, there's other ways to help people instead of just saying I help XYZ. You just do it. So that's what I understood when I got into freelancing. I thought that like this is the only route, right? And I thought a lot of things wrong, like in the wrong way. I thought that my talent will speak for itself. That yeah, if I'm doing great work, then I don't need to convince you to work with me. Blah blah blah. But that was wrong. uh, I was in this framework thing. I help whatever that might be, achieve whatever that might be. But yeah, it works, but to a certain extent only, not at scale, I'd say. And when I started, I'd say entrepreneurship, I never had a 9 to 5 in my life, just because of how much money I made without working a 9 to 5. And when I compared the two, it didn't make sense to me. And especially when going to school. So I dropped out of college at 17, came back to private school with my own money, spending $4,000 per session to learn things I already knew online. It was only to get the certification. So for me, like it's scam. And I was like, I'm spending $4,000 per session to learn things I already know, to have a certification, to after get into internship. You know, when you work for free, basically to gain experience. It just didn't make sense to me. And then get paid what? Like the starting position for a graphic designer was $28,000 per year. I was like, hell no. I was making that money on my own. So yeah, a lot of things didn't make sense to me. That's why I was so money centered focused in that time, because I felt as if it was unfair, which it was, but that's like just the way society, you know, is functioning up until this day. Now designers are more respected because of the emergence of freelancing, right? People going on their own, proving their value, and so on. Before it wasn't always like that, and even engineers. Like at some point, I wanted to go into engineers, and I was like, "How much is this?" So for the amount of work you do and the amount of money you get, it just wasn't making sense to me. Um, I was unlocking iPhones for $25 with a thing called Turbo Sim, and I was buying that for $5, and people were paying the $25, even though I said like, yeah, I bought this for $5, but what do you want to do? Like, you want to order it? Go order it if you want, you know. But still, yeah. So there, I just understood that 9 to 5 are scams. I'd say in the early stage, at least. Uh, at that era, that's what 10 years ago now. Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. But still, I will still do things differently if I go back in time, because I I wasn't self-reflecting enough. I was just going straight ahead, like straight ahead all the time, not really, assessing situation. But I don't regret it. I was able to travel the world, never have to respond to any boss, so I cannot complain. To be fair.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a pretty good deal, since I mean, because you're just so entrepreneurial, you kind of figured it all out, and you started by answering the question on what entrepreneurship means to you by saying, I mean, how it's evolved for you, and you said, I think it's about helping people, um, but so I just want to open that up further, because as it unfolded, it seemed to be kind of going back to the sense that 9 to 5 is a scam, and I was seeing that I was making a lot more money on my own. So again, it went back to this sense about
Mm-hmm.
money making, and I think that that's great, because that is also what entrepreneurship is about. I mean, the money, does helping people come first, or does the money come first? Um, because there's also this idea of a social entrepreneur. I don't know if you've heard of that term. There's this whole arena of social entrepreneurship, which is actually about using business as a force for good, to actually help people through business methodology. Now, entrepreneurship, on the other hand, is not that. I think it's about taking risks, and making the big bucks along the way, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know why you believe that entrepreneurship is about helping people.
Good question. So I'd say it depends on the current situation of the person. Me personally, if I had a family, I have kids, I have different responsibilities, I wouldn't think the same thing. Like money will come first at the end of the day. Like my family come first, providing for the family comes first. So even if you want to help people, at the end of the day, you have to make money, right? So making money comes first, whether you like it or not. Even if you're saying you want to help people, which might be true, might be not, making money comes first before helping people, because otherwise you're broke and you want to provide for your family. And does that really make you either a man or a woman, whatever, successful in entrepreneurship just because you want to help quote unquote people? Um, so yeah, in my current situation, I'd say I've seen the good and the bad. When you focus solely on money without any responsibility. So because you have the choice to help people and make money, or just focus on making money, which is basically what, solving a market problem with a product and you're good to go. um, yes, if you are selling that product, it's because someone sees it as valuable, therefore it's helping them, even if it's not your thought, oh, I want to help people. If it sells, I think it's helping people, otherwise it's a scam. Again, we come back to that, right? So yeah, even like, and this is a great analogy with that is, when I was selling those fake snapback and even like fake beats, and I've seen on TikTok as well. There's a woman, she sells fake designers, but people buying those designers are aware of that. Like, instead of paying $2,000 for a Gucci bag, you're gonna pay 500, 600, but still it's, let's say, triple A quality. From a moral perspective, the debate is infinite, right? But from helping people perspective, you can say like, she is helping people at the end of the day. Like, the consumer want to have designers, but they cannot afford the designer. They can afford for a less quality designer, and she's solving the problem. So yeah, she's making money. And even if the sole purpose of this business is not moral standard society per se, I'd say she is still helping people because she's solving a problem. And those people who want status without really, uh, want to spending a lot of big bucks, they can solve that problem. And believe me, people will think that it's an original at the end of the day. Like, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm making
Yeah.
sense here, but
No, no,
so
absolutely. That's a really interesting point you actually brought up about the sense of, it's the free market. That's one thing. And the entrepreneur is solving problems. Yes, there's a whole bunch of people who want those designer goods but can't actually afford it. And psychologically it's about status games, as you mentioned. But then
right,
on the other side, there's this moral issue. Is she actually doing the right thing? Is even the consumer doing the right thing by buying these products? And so I think that's a really really great area to further into. And so perhaps you know we can we can discuss the sense of morality, and I think maybe we can share to our audience a little bit about where that comes from for you. And so we're diving into the philosophy question now.
all right.
What is what does philosophy mean to you, and how did you find it?
So to be honest, I don't really have a specific question for that because I was failing philosophy in college, and I wasn't really interested in that because I thought it was useless. I'm just gonna explain everything like why did I think that and so on. It's because school, college, whatever, government, they force those classes on you without explaining why you should take them. Like, yeah, philosophy is good. It helps you now. Like, I understood why philosophy is helpful. It helps you like understand other people's perspective, deep dive, having genuine and interesting conversation with other people. Form arguments, becoming someone who can talk like concisely, articulate your thoughts, and so on. And when I back then when I had like those philosophy classes, it's like what I understood is just write what the teacher want to read. That's what I understood, right? And I was like, so again, this is a scam. Like, you're telling me I cannot say what I really think, and if I do that, I will fail the class. That's bit and for me, it didn't make sense again. Like, this is not philosophy for me. That's the philosophy they were teaching. Like, really, every student that you will talk to is like, how can you do that? Like, write things that you don't really think just for the sake of having a good grade. Didn't make sense to me. So I prefer to drop out and go on my own instead of having to fake. you know, just giving what the teacher want to read. Like, didn't make sense to me. And I'm like, always was like that. I'm like, I cannot like comply with that. And even the I think I'll put history before philosophy as useless class. When how I saw it, I was failing that class hard, like hard because I wasn't interested. Like, I didn't want to know the story of Quebec. I didn't care, right? Like, I'm here, I want to make money again. Like, can you give me something that will help me make money? You were giving me like just giving philosophy, writing things that I don't know what to write about, and if I do, I fail. History, I have to remember dates that I don't care about, And the only class that like made sense to me was marketing and economy, and that's it. Like, I was just going there, so I was paying money to attend things I don't want to attend. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. So I dropped out after the second session. And that's why I wanted to go to private school. Private school was like, it's only design and coding. That's it. Like, there's no philosophy. There's no thing, no, nothing that don't want to hear about, right? Like, I choose what I want to hear about. I choose what I want to read about, and good for me, So that's my entire philosophy about philosophy was like, didn't make sense to me that I have to lie to comply.
Yeah, that's super interesting and a little bit odd, I must say, because generally, I mean, I think there are a few cases, but philosophy classes are about this time in which you get to explore the nature of reality in ways that other classes don't allow you to explore. So, I think it's a bit unfortunate that your class, where your teacher was a bit strict in that sense. But I can see why some teachers may be that way, because it's so large. Like, philosophy is just so huge, and maybe for one person to um you know handle so many different perspectives, how do you even grade that? I mean, I don't think philosophy should have a grade, because it's just so vast. And
Correct.
so, yeah, I mean, it's a bit unfortunate, but I think there's a reason for why that happened in your case. And
1000%.
yeah, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that perhaps your religion, which is Islam, is your philosophy right now. Would you say so?
Yes, 1000%, 1000%. Even if I like when I come into Canada, actually there was a big shift. Coming from being extremely practicing, even as a kid, and the shift that you have here, like when you are exposed to other religions, seeing people kissing each other on, I mean, not even high school, primary school. So that was extremely odd to me. So there's those things that I could just try to avoid, and then started to get it mixed with other culture and so on. If you don't have the basis fundamentals, which I didn't have, then my mind started to shift slowly and slowly until I got into things that I shouldn't be on, right? But again, I don't regret anything because it shaped me the way it did to help me achieve what I achieved up until now and the way that I think right now. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it saved me. Like, my religion saved me from many, many, many things. And I, if I didn't have the religion, I don't think I'll be here talking with you right now.
Hmm. That's interesting. Why would you say something like that?
Because I'll be doing a lot of other things. Let's say, not creating content online, just focusing on the money aspect again. And yeah, I mean, social media showed me like a lot of, I'd say, opportunities because again, it only had the negative connotation really attached to it because it's bad and so on, which is true at the end of the day. But when I started actually, when I asked myself the question, how did I come back to the religion, and it was because of many many videos that I saw on social media that you know awake something on me. And so if there wasn't social media, I'll still be, I don't know, doing sports betting, for example, which can be good, but still, again, it's vast, infinite debate. And I was really doing that again to help people, but some people weren't following exactly what I was saying, and therefore they lost their money. And then after they started complaining and so on. But if you did really follow what I was saying, you cannot lose money. And so I had to shut that down because of religion. Because yes, even if I thought that I was helping people, I was not helping every people. And yeah, so yeah, because of religion. I don't do that anymore. And if it wasn't for that, I'll be still doing sports betting, and I'll be making a lot of money. But I would have lost, I'd say, a sense of morality, in a sense of, I'd say, basically, I was saying, if you don't follow what I was saying, you're stupid, and so it's your fault. So I was just like transferring this to this person, but I was like, then when I, come back to earth, I was like, maybe it's because of me. I'm not explaining things correctly, and so on, and that brought me to, question all of my customers. I had more than 100 actually, and just only what, like 4 or 5 of them were losing money because they wasn't following me. So I was like, for the greater good, what do I choose? Like helping those 80 people, or just like blocking those 20 other people that don't follow the rules. So, to be fair, it was extremely simple, but still, I cannot assume that everyone understands things like me. But I was just asking myself, how come 80 people understand those things, but 20 others do not? Like, because they were on a situation where they think this is a quick reach scheme or whatever. So there's like, okay, I'm gonna put all my money, but that wasn't the way that I was conveying that. Actually, I was against that. So yeah, I mean, there was more, I'd say, more bad, especially when I thought about like people who actually will put all their savings into things like that. I was like, it's just insane to me. And I was against that, but I cannot control that, right? And so I was, even if I was doing good, I was still doing bad. And there's a lot of alternative to that. So like, for example, right now, creating content, either you like it or not, you're doing good, but you will still do bad sometimes. People will misinterpret your message and might do something extremely bizarre because of what you said, right? So I won't say
Yeah.
like it's a general rule, but it's a possibility, and you cannot really control that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, earlier what you were talking about your 100 customers and 20 were not following the rules, 80 were, and you had to decide. I mean, that's actually a moral philosophical concept called the trolley problem. I don't know if you've heard of it,
No.
where it's like a thought experiment. There's a train that's moving on the tracks, and it can go on one track or it can go on the other track. On one track there's one person or there's three people, and that's the way that the train is moving towards that three people. They're like tied to the tracks, and on the other side there's one. So do you choose the one with more people, or the less, or do you keep the train on the track towards the three people, or do you divert it towards the one person because it's less people? That's like a moral
Mm,
concept in philosophy that people try to, as a way to understand, like, where do your morals lie, how do you decide um, these ethical dilemmas, how do you make decisions around it? So it sounded like that's what you are going through, and so in some sense it's like a you're I have a feeling that you're more of a moral philosopher in that sense, like all your 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 dilemmas and your whatever you're dealing with, it has to do with a sense of morality, and perhaps that is because of your religion, because I'm sure, actually I'm not so sure, but I have a feeling that Islam has to do with the sense of ethics and morality more than anything. Would you say so?
yeah.
Or does this idea of aesthetics also come into play? Because I know, and that's my second question actually, is how has your religion, which is your philosophy, affected your business and your sense of design and branding?
So yeah, when I started this sports betting business, I was always like talking with my father, and I'm like, yeah, I'm showing you the money. I was making really like a lot of money, and to the point where, so before going online, I was doing it with cash. So every time that I win, I have to go to the convenience store, or it's called like Jean Coutu. They sell pharmacy and whatever that might be, and you bring your ticket and they give you your money. I was going there every day, every day, and to the point they thought I was like doing fraud or whatever. And the guy came, administrator, whatever, to the front and was like, "We don't have money right now." But I'm like, "How? It's not possible." Anyway, this long story short, that's why I decided to, just fuck that. I'm going online now. And I was making more money because the odds were better. So instead of making, for example, you bet $100, you make 150 online, you'll make 180, and you times 10 bets, that $300. So I was like, okay, for the good, I'm good. And the discussions that I was having with my father, that's before actually creating the consulting business, which is like sharing my bets. I was doing it on my own for at least a year and a half, and I was making a lot of money. Because I was like, I want to help people, and now I started doing that with my actual roommate, and I helped him make a lot of money. Started the account with zero up until $5,000. That's a lot of money, and I was like, okay, now I can go to the public. So I did the website, did a lot of things. Like, it took me what, like, and that's, I wasn't aware of the word obsession, but I was obsessed with everything. And that was like, I wasn't really with the mindset. So when I started this website, I wasn't like, okay, I want to help people. I was like, I can sell that for $20 per month. And if I have 100 people, that 20K, right? I know my math are good. No, no, that's $2,000. Sorry. So I was, I was making like around two K per month with those people, and even though I was helping, like I said, those 80% of that, the 20 weren't following, and I was like, okay, for now I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, you are. I wasn't really practicing that time as well, right? I was like, you don't follow, your problem. You don't follow the rules, your problem. Same when you are riding a car outside, right? You have the rules, and if you don't follow the rules, you have tickets. The tickets is losing your money. It's that simple. Even like if you have the biggest morality, whatever, like you have strong morals and so on, those are rules. And if you want to break the rules, then you have to pay the consequences. But then when I when you start comparing those situations to, I'd say, from a religious perspective, like, it's forbidden to drink alcohol. It's forbidden to be in a table with people drinking alcohol. It's forbidden to sell alcohol. And it's forbidden to serve alcohol, because you're responsible with what can happen after the person drinks the drink that you gave them. Someone can drink that, the alcohol that you sold them, and after makes it, like, drives and dies, right? Either you like it or not, you are responsible. And from that, so this is what bothers me. What bothered me and bothers me is people have their own morals depending on what serves them. But when you bring, you bring these things to the table. Oh, why shouldn't I sell alcohol? Man, you have the reason why you shouldn't sell alcohol. This is why Islam forbids to not sell alcohol, is because whether you like it or not, you're responsible, right? And it's the same principle with that situation. Either you like it or not, you're responsible of the money. If the person loses his savings because they followed what you said. And the same applies for being an influencer or whatever that might be. Like, someone can, say, okay, I want to be like her. Get outside, get out of her parents and go on her own, and then leads go down a degeneracy path because of that one influencer. And imagine now, like, you have 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 100 followers, 100,000 followers. Whether you like it or not, you're responsible for a lot of things, a lot of things. If you're not aware of what you're saying, what you're writing, what you're sharing, it's gonna come back on you, whether you like it or not. You'll be judged on that. It's not like you choose what is good and what is not good for you, right? So that's the entire concept around it, around alcohol, around sports betting, around things that are, yeah, maybe you're doing good, but if there's a small percentage of bad, then it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like your way of being is very much guided by that sense of morality which comes from your religion. And I think that that's awesome. You know, we definitely need a strong sense of what is right and what is wrong, especially when it comes to business, because then it can easily lead to a murky territory with fraud, and obviously we see that so often. You know, the one that comes to mind immediately is FTX. You know, the
Yeah.
crypto collapse recently. Clearly, was not doing the right thing, you know, and he thought he could, um, you know, fraud everyone. So, um, my question then is, okay, if that side of your religion is guiding your business, what about that sense of aesthetics? You know, because when you walk into a mosque, I mean, it's so beautiful. I mean, this intricacy of the design and all of that is very much there, right? That is what your almost, it's very meditative, and so I wonder how much, because I know you're a minimalist and maybe you can touch on that as well, how much of that aspect of religion, the aesthetics, has influenced your, perhaps your branding or even your sense of business.
I never asked my question, and I never asked myself that question. So I don't really know. But if I think about it, I'd say not too much. When I came to Canada, I wasn't really going to mosque, and here mosque in Canada in itself, like they're not really. I'd say I won't say like real mosque, but I mean like having the real designs and so on, because you cannot really build the mosque here the way that it should be. So it's more like it's more about the like the building in itself. They're not extraordinary, but still they are what they are. They are mosque, and I won't say it really influenced me personally. It's was Japan that gave me more the sense of I want to read, like I want to live that way, like with less. And then I discovered the minimalism aspect from a YouTube channel. I was like, you really can create content about anything. Like this particular guy, he's like his entire channel is around minimalism, right? Like no furniture, whatever that might be, and every video is about minimalism as a whole. And as you said, minimalism is not only about like what do you have in your home, like how's your decor and so on. It's the way you live life as well. Like do you have do you take a lot of decisions, do you take a lot of like yeah, so do you have a lot, do you take a lot of decisions, do you have a lot of clothes, do you have a lot of choices that you're making on a daily basis? And it affected my design as well, so I don't like to take a lot of decisions, and so I try to minimize everything because it's tiring actually. The black t-shirt every day, uh, and I will only you know have a different outfit if I go to a restaurant or I'd say special occasion. Other than that, I don't see the purpose. To be fair, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good with black, all black on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially as a creator. I mean, you often see these big fashion designers, like the creative directors of all these luxury brands. Not all, but quite a few. They end up just wearing very simple clothes because they want to limit their their sense of making a decision on what they have to wear and put all of that creativity in designing for other people. And obviously Steve Jobs was the same. He, you know, he wore like a black turtleneck all the time. So it makes a lot of sense that you would avoid like focusing on the creator, but rather the creation, you know. And I really appreciate that. Now that I think about it, I can see why Japan has inspired you a lot. There's a very Zen feeling to Zen and its aesthetics. But I can also feel how perhaps the way of life of a Muslim is also very minimalistic. You know, that may have also really influenced your aesthetics. Would you say so? That sense of a simple way of being, that sense of morality kind of translates into the aesthetics.
Mm. I never thought of that way. So I don't know, to be fair. But yeah, I'd say religion, Islam, in a way, actually helped me build discipline. Even though I don't really do it every day, but you have to wake up extremely early to pray in the first prayer, and that brought me to down a rabbit hole again to see, like, is there any scientific research around someone who wakes up and then in the middle of the night and then start, you how do you say that? You stay awake, right? Yeah, you stay awake, and then you come back to sleep. Does that affect your sleep pattern, or you, generally speaking? Do you think so?
Um, yeah, I think so.
From those scientific studies, it does not, it does not affect your sleep or your being as a whole. And that was interesting. I was like, so the reason why I thought that, it was like, do God will like tell me to wake up to deprive my sleep? I don't think so. So that's why I looked up for that, and I found, many research who actually prove that it does not affect your sleep, and it helps build discipline. So I'm like, everything that is in Islam translates to all of what you're seeing right now. Like, I'd say productivity, like life coach, whatever. I'm like, I have a book telling me everything that I have to do. But people nowadays needs another human telling them what to do, and accountability, whatever, because they're not disciplined on their own. And when you don't have something to be disciplined for, then why would you have discipline, right? So you're not practicing it on a daily basis, especially in the entrepreneurial spectrum, where you need to have discipline. Otherwise, you won't progress and you won't succeed. You have to block your own time. You have to say no to a lot of things. You have to do a lot of things that necessitate discipline. But again, not everyone is disciplined. So for me, it helps me with that, at least. Not at least, like, there's a lot of other things that help me with, but discipline is one of them. Away from basketball and gym in itself, but that becomes a habit at the end of the day. You sense the gain, and I'd say it's different for example, prayer. Yes, you have to be extremely focused, which is extremely difficult, by the way. But you won't really get to see the benefits right away. Like, you finish prayer, oh my God, I feel, I know, so fantastic or whatsoever. But you do it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then you start feeling things. Like, when I wasn't praying for a long time, to be fair. Since what, like, I dropped out prayer uh, at 15 years old. My mother was always behind my back, like, yo, go pray, go pray, go pray, go pray. And I'm like, it's not you telling me to pray that will help me pray. Until I understood, like, when I stopped everything and I come back to religion, I never missed any day. But you don't get to see the benefits right away. That's why I say it's different from gym. Even like the gym in itself, you won't see the benefits right away. At the end of the day, you have to go again, and then after a month, maybe you'll see the benefits. And sometimes it's not even you who will see the benefits; it's other people. When you don't see someone for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, so, oh, you changed, oh, you lose weight, oh, you gain muscle, whatever. But you, on your own, you don't even see it that way. except if you are comparing pictures, right? And yeah, that's why, like, for prayers is different, but still the benefits come whether you like it or not, even if they're, let's say, hidden. But there are many, many, many benefits without counting what you'll get in the hereafter if you believe in it.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate that sense of discipline being at the heart of all that you do, and um, yeah, I can see how discipline and minimalism is quite connected as well, aesthetically. So obviously, this is a Philosopreneur podcast, so I've been asking you about the entrepreneurship and then the philosopher slash philosophy slash religion question. So now
Mm-hmm.
let's integrate it. How how is there ever a time in which you feel like you're having to choose an ultimatum? Does it ever conflict? Do religious principles come in contrast to entrepreneurial principles? I mean, if you think about it, the Quran was written thousands of years ago, and the internet is only a few decades old. So it's like completely on opposite ends. I mean, how does one integrate that? How does the Philosopreneur, from your perspective, come together?
Great question. So, you know, when I was a kid, teenage, around like what, 8, 9 years old, between those years, between 7 to 9, I was having Quranic recitation. So I have like to memorize and then recite and so on, competitions. And I won, I think, the second or third place, but never the first place. And I never felt that, oh, I have to be the first or whatever. Never in that kind of situation. Like, even if you have a competition, but you still understand that it's because someone is just better than you, and that's it. It stops there. And when I was reciting and memorizing the Quran back then, I didn't really understand what I was memorizing, but I just knew that it was beautiful. That's it. But again, I didn't have the fundamentals. And now, when I come back to the religion, so actually, what bothered me is when I got into social media, I was like seeing people say, "Oh, wake up, morning, whatever, it's 5 a.m. routine, and so on, cold shower, gratitude, journaling, all of that stuff." I'm like, Quran is saying, like, telling me to do that. God is telling me to do the same thing. Like, this is practices that you have to do to be, I'd say, spiritually and mentally, like, in a healthy mental state. You don't really need that, but if you are someone who's struggling, then that's what you're like, you suggested, right? To practice gratitude in a journal. Never done that before, but I never consider myself, having, I'd say, mental problems, or I don't know, I'd say, like, is it called mental problem, whatever that might be, like when you experience depression whatsoever. Never experienced
Hmm.
that. So never felt the necessity to journal or
Hmm.
whatever that might be. But to answer, like, to come back to your question, so I was seeing all of those this stuff on social media, but then I have the Quran already saying me to all of those things. And I started reading it again, memorizing it, but understanding now, which is actually not that simple. Again, it's extremely complex. You can try to understand, so try to understand is a better word choice here. But you see, like, how it applies to everything in life, and everything that is forbidding is for a good reason. For example, interests are forbidden, so taking a loan, whatever, forbidden for a good reason. Debt, a lot of people are, like, in debt right now. They cannot even pay the bills. On top of that, not paying the debt in itself, crazy. Forbidding for a reason. Alcohol, forbidden for a reason. Gambling, for a reason. Sex before marriage, for a reason. All of those broken hearts, suicide because of love whatsoever, because of what? Relationship outside of marriage. There's no commitment. guys playing with girls, girls playing with guys, vicious cycle. Then you don't want this, you don't want this type of girl, you don't want this type of. You have like, outside standards that I don't even know like how people are giving themselves those standards, and it's the society's fault at the end of the day. And when you let society dictate your moral and your standards, then it's not really for yourself. Like you're just being given those standards and you live by them, and you don't believe in anything else. But for me, I'm like, if there's a creator and he's giving me all of those things to not do, and now I dig deeper trying to understand why this is forbidding, like why sex outside of marriage is forbidding, for a good reason. Like people don't understand that, and they don't think more than that. But you lose, respect for women. You're just trying to stack up how many women you sleep with or how many guys you sleep with. Like I'd say, guys is more on those situation, but still, women's are not out of the picture in that instance. But still, you lose sense of morality when it comes to that. But it's something extremely banalized nowadays. Sex outside of marriage, being in a relationship since what 14 years old, and now you see how it leads people. Marriages are failing, families are broken, all of that stuff. When you don't have this foundation, I'm not saying like it's not possible to actually have a happy marriage with someone who you met and you had sex with before whatsoever. But we're speaking about generality here, like general population, which in fact that plays a huge role into why marriages are failing. Alcohol, like I don't want to even bother saying why it's forbidden, right? And you see like even people who are not religious, like atheistic, whatever, they say alcohol is bad. And then when you start asking yourself why those things are bad and you try to understand like the real why, then you see like it makes sense. And if you think it doesn't make sense, then I think you are the one who is not making sense, because there's no way that this doesn't make sense. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on a lot of important ideas, especially, you know, I think the problems that many humans face in this modern world. Um, I think, when especially in the world of alcoholics, like there's a sense that they're trying to fill a god-sized hole. That's like a term that they use, that they're drinking so that they can fill this god-sized hole. And I think it's the same for young people, and this whole what is called a sexual revolution, where everyone's just free to do whatever they want, and Tinder and Hinge and all these dating apps, and having new partner after new partner. It's almost as though there's a chasing after spirit, but it's a spirit in the wrong sense. I mean, it's very momentary, right? That you have this new partner, you feel so alive, and then suddenly it's like, oh, this doesn't feel so great anymore. I need a new person now. I need to find someone else, or I need another drink, or whatever it is. It's like there's something that the person is trying to fulfill, but it's not being fulfilled. So we go along these very um, heartbreaking paths. And so perhaps it is the case that many of us um, are doing these things because we're not so religious anymore as we used to be. Many of us are uh, agnostic, or perhaps just grown up in a secular environment. So there is no sense of devotion to the transcendental spiritual realm. Um, and I don't know what that means for our millennials, and I don't know much about the Gen Z, the generation um, that is younger to us, whether they have become more spiritual, religious or not. But it does seem that there has to be this new awakening to spirit and to religiosity through a different realm. I think, yeah, that it seems like a really important point that you're making, and I really appreciate that.
There's something interesting. This long time ago, I don't really remember like who shared that, but I saw this post from two different persons, and it's like saying it's a video saying that alcohol is the drink of the devil, right? And you have this actual post shared by a Muslim, and then you see the comments. You're saying that because you're Muslim, blah 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 blah. Oh, can't we enjoy our drink in peace? Blah blah blah. There's people going in rage and so on. On the other hand, when you have a non-Muslim sharing that, like, oh, interesting, I didn't know that, blah blah blah. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, people are not even like they cannot think for themselves. Like, just because the person is non-Muslim sharing that, and you are non-Muslim, then okay, I'm gonna listen to him. And then just because someone is Muslim and then you are non-Muslim, everything that he's saying doesn't make sense, which doesn't make sense. Like, can't you think for yourself? It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's become so polarized in that sense. We should definitely be more um open to different perspectives while also having a backbone of our own. Whether, like, I mean, I've just started. I wouldn't even say as much as you. I've just really returned to my religion, my heritage, which is Hinduism. I'm coming before. When I was living in Japan, I had the need to negate it because I wanted to be Japanese so badly. So I felt like I had to, like, cut my Indianness out of myself. But now, the past few years, I've beginning to see, wow, what have I done? This is the body that I was born into, the family, the heritage that I was born into. I have to appreciate it. I have to love it. And so now I'm returning to it in a very profound way. So I think, had I not left it just the way that you left it, I wouldn't have. I think that neither one of us would have come back to it in a very profound, deep way. So again, it's all happened for a reason. So yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I'd say it's for a good reason for sure, because we don't know. I might have become an extremist and then go to war or whatever that might be, like brainwashed in a different manner. And so yeah, like I said, I don't regret it. There's a lot of people actually here who look a lot, but from from college, like two persons that they were actually brainwashed and went into war, and we don't understand how that happened. But it's because of extremists, right? They brainwashed them in a way that insane, to the point to go to another country to make war, like just like suicide yourself, basically. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, there's a good reason. So I'm always like, yeah, that might be the reason why. I never know.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a middle ground that we have to find, because anything can become extreme. Religion, or even just, I don't know, making money. I mean, whatever it is, there's always an
Yeah.
extreme side. So that's why I like the the sense of a philosopreneur, because I think, especially with you, there's a sense of you're really deeply bringing your philosophy into your approach to business, which is embedded in a sense of morality. So I really appreciate that. I think that is actually what's giving you a sense of balance, is that you're not on one extreme on either side. You're kind of merging both and, like, having a sense of balance there, which is awesome. So I want to go into this next part, which is, and you've talked about it, on Twitter, and in your newsletter, um your new philosophy, which is called the anti-niche philosophy. Maybe you can share a little bit about that, how it came to you, and what it's about, and how you're applying it to your business.
Yeah, great question. I call it. I don't know if there's two pronunciation, or is it me who is mispronouncing it. Like, is it great to say anti as well?
Yeah, it's totally. I think that anti is also okay. Anti, yeah, I think it's maybe British and American, and then
I
also
see.
niche. Some people say niche, so I
Yeah,
think
correct.
it's like just yeah, up to you.
Correct. So it came from out of frustration, being on LinkedIn before, only creating content for the sake of getting leads or whatever. So it was only creating content about branding, Shopify, web design, brand strategy, all of that stuff. To attract people who are interested in that instance. But I was tired real quickly because it just like became boring. I'm like, I'm interested in that, and then I cannot talk about it. Doesn't make sense to me. So I came across Danko. Long story short, watched his video, bought his course, loved how he merged philosophy and business. Even though I'm not really a big fan of philosophy, to be fair, which is crazy, but I learned to appreciate it on my own way. So I was like, if I'm able to create, like, to build an audience talking about whatever I want, then this is basically a jackpot, because you don't have to create something that you don't want to. And being in a niche, whether you like it or not, you are creating content forced to, because you box yourself in, I don't know, four topics, whatever that might be. That doesn't actually mean that you cannot post a photo of you and your dog, or you and your cat, or you and your family. But will people really care if you do that? Right? I mean, like, you're, you're just sharing. I don't know. For example, me, I was only sharing about branding, Shopify, and so on. And like, from one day to the other, hey, going to play basketball. I don't care. They know I don't care, and that's for me how like how I feel when I'm following someone for a specific reason. For example, if I only want to learn about philosophy, and then I follow you, and then from one day to the other, you're like, oh, I'm going to share with you a jazz lesson today. Do you think people would care? I don't think they will, right? But now that you are created your personal brand the way you did, when you share those things, your walk in the parks, your love for jazz, people are interested in that because they love you. They develop a relationship with you on a deeper level that goes beyond a particular topic. So the anti niche is not really to say, oh, create whatever you like, whatever that might be, but it's more about not creating specific things that you give yourself a limit to. It's really about that. Like, it's anti niche is basically it. And I'm extremely careful in sharing that, because I don't say that anti like niching is wrong. I don't say that. I just say that it is not the right thing for many, 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 many people that think it's the only way, because many do actually. I have friends that's only what they heard about. Like, especially when you come from a business side, that's the basics, right? And it makes sense from a business perspective, from a brand perspective, customer perspective, that I want someone who is specialized in a particular thing. The best example always, like, comes down to doctors, surgeon, whatever. You'll choose the doctor and the surgeon that is specialized in whatever that might be, heart, brain, and you pay a higher price because that's what he's been doing, what he has been doing. But then, if we really take those, like, that surgeon, do, like, is it the only thing that he does in his life? And if he wants to create content, what type of content is gonna create? uh Procedure on how to open a brain, like a skull to operate the brain. Like, what was he gonna do? Like, even if his his job is specialized, is niche down, as a person, as like as a bigger being, when you come to social media and you try to attract, like, all the, like, people who will be interested in you, then you won't only talk about that, right? There's a guy on YouTube, and the guy is amazing. Like, he's an expert in sport, like in injuries. He's a doctor, and his channel is all about sports injury. But the guy is insane. For an injury happened in a basketball game, like, maybe 30 minutes ago, 1 hour later the video is already up, like, talking about the injury, what might be the injury, blah blah blah. But he's only talking about that. But still, people who follows him on social media, he shares uh, you know content outside of his specialization, even though he built his audience with that. But because that's what he loves, he loves sports, and he loves medicine. Yeah, that's when you say that. Medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so he made an intersection, and he's talking about things he's passionate about. So why not? If that's the way he chose to do it, then good for him. But that's because that's what he wanted to do. That's not someone, oh, choose a niche. The guy is already an expert, you know. But
Yeah.
now people nowadays who are coming to social media, they're saying like, you have to be an expert in something, and when you are not, that's why you try to become an expert by creating niche specific content. But if you already are, then you don't feel the need to do so, because many experts actually don't want to talk about their expertise. They're tired of that. Like, they're just tired of that. They want to create, about talk about their other passions, whether that might be cooking, whatever. And that doesn't mean they cannot talk about their expertise, right? But they don't have to prove they are expert. They already are. That's why it doesn't apply to them. And that's why a lot of other people actually are, sensing this kind of emergency that they have to create niche content to be perceived as an expert. But that's status game. That's because you only think that you need to be an expert, which is not true at the end of the day.
Interesting. Yeah. What's coming to mind as you were talking is like, let's say Picasso was alive today, and he was posting all of his artistic content on Instagram or whatever it is. And, he's getting a lot of traction. And then suddenly he's like, I don't want to just show this. I want to show like my other side, which is this accountant. Like, I love numbers, and I want to show people how to create spreadsheets on Excel. And then he starts creating content on that. But somehow, like, he gets that it's just not doing as well as his art stuff. So then he's like, okay, I guess it's not doing so well. People don't really want to see this stuff, so I'm just going to post artistic stuff. What would you say to Picasso if he was alive today about how he should manage his
That's a great question. This is based on what? 3 times that he posted about his other vocation. That, like, if you're doing this, you cannot assess, data based on 3 4 posts that you talked about, whatever that might be, right? Uh, Different than what you've been doing. And if you started your account, just posting about art, then it's a process, right? You cannot just expect people to love what you're doing, like, other than that, from one day to the other. It's a process. You're still, oh, by the way, I do other thing, right? And then, oh, what do you do else? What else do you do? And then, oh, okay, this is what I do. Oh, interesting. Okay, do you want to learn more about it? Okay, I'm gonna share it. This is just like you actually pick interest. And even if you, as an audience, don't really want to know more about it, you just trick yourself into wanting to know more about it, kinda, right? Like, if from my perspective, it just depends, and you cannot like really judge based on 3 4 5, at least I'd say a month trying
yeah.
things out, right?
But do you think that if let's say he's been posting for a year or two now on a regular
Mm-hmm.
basis on the accounting, and it's still not doing well, would you to him suggest he keep going because he loves it, or do you think he should stop because there's already this external sense of judgment that's coming on that's saying, oh, I don't really like your stuff compared to your art stuff? So, or would you recommend the creator continue to create because that's what they love to do despite the reception of their content?
There's a different way to go about it. For me personally, what I would have done is, create another account, and
Okay.
then post that stuff there if you really want to do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
does he really want to do it? We don't know, can't know. But and even though I will argue that after a year you'll attract people interested in that 1,000%. Like, that's if you really post that, what, like, let's say 2 times per week, 2 times per week times 4, that's 8, times 10 times 10 month, that's 80. You add another for 4, 88. 88 posts, you'll try maybe, I'd say, 200 people. 200 people is fair. And from those people, 200 will talk about it to others, and so on. Goes beyond that.
Mm.
And I'd say it's same thing for me, right? Like in the beginning, not really many people were interested, and you cannot really know um, what I talk about in a sense. And that's I'd say my whole niche is curiosity. And even I'm going into a rebrand at a 2000 mark. And just because I went into self reflection, I'm like, I'm good at many things, but I excel at one thing, which is design. And I'd say solving problems, maybe, connecting dots. I don't know how to say that, but that's what I excel at. And even if I have other passions, that doesn't mean that it will stay my passion forever. And that's what I came to realization, for example, with design, right? Design is my passion, yes, but will be my passion when I have millions of dollars, for example? Like, would I be making websites? I don't think so, right? But still, at the essence, design is at the top, and design will stay my passion whether like I stop doing web design or not. Drawing for me, if I become like, not if I will become millionaire, I will come back to drawing, and that's what I will document. I will like kill my time drawing things, and I will share that instead of making websites, and I will do that out of passion. And if I like it or not, I will be able to sell those. In the future, being a millionaire, you can sell whatever you can, whatever you want. And so yeah, I understood that passion comes and goes, but it's like love. It's entertainable, and same with love, right? If you stop doing things that we're doing in the beginning, whether it's like small attention, small acts, and you don't maintain it, then it goes away. Passion is the same way. And it's like, imagine if you really compare that to love, and you need someone to tell you, okay, go do this. You know, yeah, you will lose the love for the person. Like, someone is telling you to do it, you don't do it on your own for yourself. And passion, I think, is the same thing. And now I see like people are misunderstanding the concept of multi-passion, which is like being understand that by being all over the place. But that doesn't mean that.
Mm.
And doesn't mean like having multiple passion is like, oh, I want to do this and then I stop. Okay, I'm going to do this and now, okay, I stop and then I'm going to the other now. Okay, Lord, the other, don't like it anymore. I'm going to do this. Oh, okay, no, don't like it anymore. Like, just jumping from things to the other. It's not that. But I'm going to change like my messaging to convey my message better, because yes, I have passions, but it's more lean towards skills, which is multi-skill acquisition. Yeah, I would say acquiration, but that wasn't a word. Acquisition, yeah. And being good at something translates to being passionate about something. And maybe, when you start with an interest, then you suck at it, and then you become good, then you keep going, you become obsessed, then you become great, and then it becomes a passion. But still, if you're making money with it, at the end of the day, yes, you might love what you do, but I don't even know if many people really understand it. Like, is it really passion or not? It's
Mm.
just an obsession that you're good at. And design is the same thing for me. Yeah, I'm passionate about it, but I'm also good at it. And would have been passionate about it if I wasn't good at it? I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really important point. Um, Otherwise, it's just kind of a hobby, I guess, to some extent. Um,
Correct.
so would you say your anti-niche philosophy is just tailored to the creator economy, or do you feel like it can ripple out into all of life?
Yeah, interesting. So polymath, for example, the word polymath, I learned that on your first space, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
when I sent you the message. And then when I went to Google to try and understand what that means exactly, is someone who actually can make a living out of three skills that he acquired during his life, whether it's like, and I don't even know how that is possible actually. Like, how is that possible for a regular polymath on the let's say studying curriculum that can acquire three different bachelor or whatever that might be? Like, how is that possible? How long it takes to actually get that?
What do you mean? Like how can someone learn three things and integrate it into their life?
So, from what I understood, that being a polymath is having, for example, the ability to find three different jobs, like live off three different, like the possibility of having three different jobs. So I can become a web designer, okay, I can
Mm.
become a brand designer, and I can become a writer. So I acquire those three skills that I'm good at, and then if I want now, I can go look up for a job and and getting hired being a web designer, a brand designer, or a writer, for example. But how that translates to someone who is not on the online world, like someone who is not aware of those things, someone who is just studying in university or whatever, but he want to have that possibility. Like how do I acquire those things in such short terms?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, I guess they would first have to have some sort of curiosity and desire to want to acquire skills. I mean, even if they're not on the internet, they could, they could want to be an athlete. They could also want to be a writer, and they could also want to be a great salesman, and they could manage to do it all right. But I think it starts from that sense of, for me, it's always about a curiosity, to want to first of all understand what the hell life is about. I think when that question is there, then you're seeking after all these different areas in which to understand life, and then you acquire those skills because of that one question, which is like, what is life about, and how can I understand it and become better at it. I think that is what leads. I mean, if you think about Leonardo da Vinci, like, he's like this ultimate person, the archetype of a Renaissance person, a polymath. I think for him, like, it's his drawings, like he was really trying to imitate life and trying to understand, like, how can I draw this figure in the most humanistic way possible. I mean, he had to understand anatomy. He also got into engineering, and then also art itself, to then combine all of that into one thing. That is actually my sense of a polymath, is someone who's able to take all of these areas and then bring it into one thing, which is a sense of,
Interesting.
yeah.
So that, yeah, that's exactly where I had the conflict of saying that multi-passion is different from polymath, is because a polymath can have all those skills and have the ability to actually find a job on those different skills that you have, but that doesn't mean you are passionate about all of them, right? Just
Hmm.
while you were curious about becoming a salesman, you tried it out and you saw that it makes great money and you're good at it. So
Hmm.
why not, right? And that doesn't mean you're passionate about it. Like, you have to deal sometimes with people that are not great to deal with. Yeah. But still, you like your job, pays well. And yeah, that's how I see it. That's actually how I got into a deeper reflection where I'm like, yeah, passion is great, but is it really um, how I want to convey my
Hmm.
message? Because it's more about like skills acquisition. At the end of the day, to become passionate, you have to get good at it. I don't think you, like you said, otherwise it's a hobby. If you're doing something out of love, even if you're not getting paid doing it, and even if you suck at doing it. For example, someone who likes to draw, but you really suck at drawing, but still you will do it out of love, and that's a passion for me. So
Hmm.
conflictual situation that necessitate deeper reflection, but still
Yeah, you're right. It is a passion. Even if you're doing it because you don't like, even if you're doing it knowing that you're not so good at it, it is a passion. But your message is about taking all these skills that you're good at and combining it, right, into making and a way in which to make money.
correct. And not even like sometimes, like I said, the like making websites will always stay in my muscle memory, you know. But 10 years from now, the skill gap between someone who stopped doing website, like making websites, from this day to 10 years from now, it will be extremely different. There will be like 3D's integration, AI. If you stopped, way behind. Like you can forget about it. So
Yeah.
you have to keep doing it. You have to keep entertaining if you really want to still keep doing it 10 years from now. And that's like what I was thinking. I'm like, if I'm not doing it in 10 years, then I won't really be passionate about it at the end of the day. But still, now I'd say I take advantage of that to just be obsessed at taking advantage of it. I mean, being good at it and like doing it, it's I'd say it's a gift. Some like especially when you compare it to people like going to 9 to 5 they don't like. I cannot complain at all. Whether you're passionate or not, you just like to shut up and do it. Like you're good at something, just do it.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Um, I think, yeah, just a few more questions.
Yeah, my
Do you
pleasure. I'm here for 3 hours if you want.
That's awesome. Um, th- what's stopping someone from taking the anti-niche philosophy, um, into the world and saying, yeah, why should I stop at one religion? Why should I should be anti-niche and practice, you know, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism. You know what I mean? Like, what is stopping someone from doing that? And maybe there's nothing wrong with that, but what would you say to that? I'm just trying to see how far this anti-niche philosophy can go.
So this is like actually outside of the social media world, let's say, right?
Yes.
Um, uh, I'd say it depends from where you start. For me personally, being Muslim, I won't do that, right? Because I know in my heart that Islam is the last and great religion that will bring me to heaven. So I won't like leave Islam, go try Christianity, and so on, because I don't believe that they are the right religion. Not only because I'm a Muslim, it's because of my, I'd say, critical thinking. And when I see a lot of things, I want to really get a lot of get a lot into religion here. But I'd say that's me personally. That's what's stopping me is because I don't feel the need to do it because I don't believe in it. And
Mm,
even like now, if you take that perspective and you translate it into social media, then some people just don't believe in it. But now you see people, for example, me, you, Gustas, Lisa, this guy Erwan, all of those people built an audience without a niche. And so the question to the answer that hasn't been asked, which is like, do I believe in it? Then you have to, because you see facts, right? And
mm,
religion is different. You cannot really compare those two instances because religion is faith. You believe in things you don't see, and that's it. But in the other situation, then you have facts and you have results, you have case studies, you have people who did it, and then you decide for yourself.
mm. Yeah, that is interesting. I can see why it's very different. Um, but you see Islam, like, I guess with any religion, maybe if one person is
Mm-hmm.
practicing one, then there's a sense of devotion, right? You're devoted to Islam, and your lifestyle is one of devotion, right? You have these regular prayers, and you're following all these ways in which the religion has asked you to follow in order to live a great life of a Muslim. So what isn't that isn't that the essence of niche as well? Why not be devoted to one thing as a creator as well? Now I'm sensing, and maybe not, maybe you don't feel this way, but I want to understand more from you. One part of your life is very strict devotion, and the other side is this anti-niche philosophy of hey, branch out, like have multiple passions or try to acquire multiple skills. So there's these two things now. How do you manage that? Again, this is like the philosopreneur question coming in.
Yes, I have the philosopher answer to that. uh, so I'd say those things are extremely different because on the religion, I'd say I'm gambling. Yes, I'm gambling with my life in the hereafter, right? And here, what are you gambling with? Like going with multiple passion, like what you can lose with that. Like me personally, going trying different religion, I'm gambling my place in heaven. So I
Mm.
prefer to not do that. But then when you are comparing to why should you not devote yourself for one specific thing, is like, what is the risk and what is the reward, right? For me, the risk of going trying different religion, if I die tomorrow doing that, might go to hell. The other way around, if I die doing that, not being like, nothing is gonna change really, right? Depends on like what are your beliefs and how you see
Yeah.
things. And for me, there's two complete different things. That yeah, I understand the perspective of the question, but the risk reward ratio is completely different.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it does seem like it all boils down to the sense of belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a topic for a whole nother conversation. Yeah, well, I mean, that really, I really appreciate your perspective and how deeply you hold your sense of faith. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Now,
A pleasure.
how do you spend your day? I mean, I know you don't really call yourself a philosopreneur, but you're on this podcast, and you know, I've noticed that philosophy to you is your religion, and you're an entrepreneur as a designer and you know, website designer and brand strategist. So how does your day unfold as a philosopreneur?
I'd say it depends on, not really depends actually. I wake up, pray. I don't even shower in the morning. So I get straight into work. I mean, make my tea and go to work. And I was before doing going to the gym in the morning, but I saw like a small drop in productivity when I go there. Before it was actually the opposite, but now I prefer going to the gym after I finish everything. So from 8 up until 5 or 4, depending on what I'm doing. But in the morning, it's writing, newsletter, Twitter. Then up until noon, up until 1, sometimes it's a call, networking call, whatever. And then from 1 to 2, I'd eat and watch TV or just eat. And at 1 is actually prayer. So before eating is prayer. And then coming back from 2 to 5 is another, I'd say, anything related to freelance. And sometimes I go crazy, and if I have like rest day, I will not leave the computer until like I'm done. I do everything until I'm done, and even sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 5. Depends. But if I'm in a deep state, starting from 2 or 3 o'clock, I won't stop. Like, oh, because it's 5 or because it's 6. No, no, no. I just keep going.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable, and especially with the prayers, prayer time that's kind of interweaving throughout your day. That's really amazing. And I wonder how does it feel before your work? How does it feel when you do work before prayer, and how does it feel when you do work after prayer? Is there a difference there that you notice?
Yeah. So actually, you will have to practice refocus. So now you're practicing focus. Actually, you turn off, then you have to focus to pray, and it's extremely difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying like, oh, I start praying and then that's only the only thing that happens to mind. And actually, it doesn't count if you are distracted. So if you're thinking, I don't know, about what are you gonna eat after, then it doesn't count. If you're thinking about, oh, coming back to work, doesn't count. You have to, like I said, meditation, when you empty your mind or whatever, then it's the same thing. It's something that you practice. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not really able to do it all the time, to be fair, but I do my best. And it's easier to come back to work afterward because the more you do it, the more you get better. And it necessitates a warm up. And this is actually a good analogy that I thought of it. I don't know if someone else said it, but when you go to the gym or start playing any sport, whatever that might be, cannot go there and start playing right away, or you risk injury, or you risk, yeah, injury is the biggest issue here. So you have to warm up, and you warm up, and even if you don't warm up enough, risk of injury again. So you have to find your sweet spot, right? Everyone is different, but let's say 30 minutes is the best, ratio for warming up before anything related to sports. Same goes for work. Like, yes, I wake up, do my make my tea, and go to work, but cannot expect to get into the zone and right away. It takes time, and you have to warm up, right? But then, if you are taking bad habits, before I was doing that, but actually I thought that was beneficial for me, but then not really. I was engaging right away in the morning on Twitter, and then I went to write because actually engaging was giving me ideas. So that was my warm up. I was like, so that's a good warm up. You are writing answers, you are thinking, blah blah blah. But then at some point, the more you do it, and that's what happened to me, is like I keep thinking about coming back to engage more, like just like in the back thought. And so I cannot focus on writing what I have to do, what I have to write about. So I stopped and I shifted things. Instead of thinking that I need to engage to warm up, I warm up with writing my thing directly, and then when I finish, I'm more warmed up. And when you go to actually engage, your brain is primed to come up with answers right away. Like, you already wrote about, I don't know what you did, but still, me personally, newsletter. And when I come back to Twitter, it's way, way, way easier to actually come up with answers, and well thought answers, compared to when you start by that, which actually plays against you. And same for freelancing. I had that problem when coming back to freelance. Shifting directly from content creation without taking a break to design work doesn't work well. But then when you incorporate a break, shifting, disconnecting from what you were doing before, that's with prayer, that's with eating and watching TV, whatever. When I come back to work, to the second portion of work related to design, then your brain prime yourself again. You have to warm up again, and you have to get into it. So that's how I see it. Like,
Yeah.
things that you have to try by yourself to see what works with you and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's a really great observation because I'm also doing multiple things. Even though I see myself, all the things that I do, it's like within one universe. So like I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm also all about anti-niche philosophy to that extent, but within this one universe. But yet, because each task is so different, I find that switching from one thing like Twitter to then like building the website to then whatever writing for whatever it is, it's like it's I'm not able to do that switch very quickly, and I put so much on myself to assume that I can just switch so quickly. And so this is something that my fiance Abir told me. He said, I think you can't do multiple things in one day because that amount of time it takes to switch from one thing to the other is actually it's very long, and it takes a lot of effort. And so this is one part about not having a niche, or let's say not having, not even that, but just lacking focus in that sense is what I've noticed to be quite hard. So I'm planning on actually just devoting different days to different things,
Correct. That's
doing
actually what I was. Yeah, that was what I was going to suggest to you.
yeah, yeah, like doing my research on one day, then building the website on one day. Then that way I can just purely put a lot of hard focused devotion to one thing, and I think it deserves that. I think when our
Mm-hmm.
attention is so scattered, then the quality of the work is also not as profoundly deep as it could be. So yeah, I really appreciate that observation. It seems like you're very sharp, and you are living with a lot of philosophical integrity throughout your day. So
I
that's
didn't even know
that's
that.
awesome. That's what it feels like.
I don't know that. Yeah.
So one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know you've told me that your goal in life is to build mosques around the
Hmm.
world. Now, I would. I'm just gonna say that that's like a mission of a philosopherneur. How are you gonna go about doing that, and why is that one of the biggest goals you have in life?
Because you get one of the biggest rewards in the hereafter. That's I say. I don't want to say it like in a selfish way, but still, like that's the first thought that come up to me when I learned that. Because when you build a mosque, I don't know if that's actually it, but I think it is. God reserve you a home on the hereafter, and there's 5 levels of heaven on the hereafter. So it's insane, depending on like your level of deeds, level of devotion, level of like how do you live your life, right? So everyone like everyone has his own level, and then it's just crazy. I'm gonna stay on that note for that instance. But yeah, when I learned that, I was like, wow, that's insane. And then you get, it's called hasanat, is like reward. For example, when you give money to poor, then you have a hasanat. When you fast, you have hasanat, and so on and so forth. So for every person that prays in that mosque, you have hasanat. Like, when we talk about being responsible for someone who dies when you give drink, then now it's the other way around. Now you are offering for someone to not someone to many people the opportunity to pray in the home of God, and that's because of you. And so God is rewarding you for the reward are just insanely high. So if one person revert in that mosque, insane. People giving donation mosque, insane. People praying in the mosque, insane. Like insane, just insane. You are on the top of the mount. Let's say I won't say mountain, whatever, but still, like you are getting rewards for that specific act. But again, it start with good intention. So I have to get rid of that, me doing that for getting rewards, and it's a process, but still, like, because that's how I learned about it. That's like I was like, oh, you get reward, okay, I wanna do that. That was my
Mm.
first motivation. But still, when you see the bigger picture, I'm asking like to really, I just want to. I don't want to do it just for the rewards, but still, like they are playing a huge role. Imagine, instead of giving 100K whatever taxes, I'm like, I'm going to Dubai. I'm gonna pay less taxes. I'm gonna use that money that I was supposed to pay in taxes. I'm gonna set it aside to actually build mosque. Like this is just like basic maths, and I'm like, yeah, this is how I want to go about it. And there's many other ways, but still, that's why actually it's one of my biggest missions. There's countries where you can, I don't know, maybe it costs 100 to 100K to do that, and if you're making millions per year, then why not?
Mm.
And I'm like, especially this is an argument that I use all the time with with people buying houses with interest, for example, because like interest is forbidding. Now, yeah, we live in a country where you cannot really go around it, whatever. But I'm like, me personally, I prefer to save that money. Imagine the money that you're paying with interest over 20 years. You can save that to build a mosque and die in peace. you know I'm giving, when you buy a home over 25 years, you're paying at least 200K in interest, and 200K I can build a mosque with that on a, I don't know which country, but I know it's possible somewhere to do that. So yeah, I'm like dying with interest, dying with building a mosque. The choice is quick, real quick.
Yeah, that I mean that's really beautiful. What a great mission to have. And actually, I was going to ask you that. I mean, forget that reward, but maybe what if what if what if there was no sense that there was a heaven? Would you still be doing that? Would you still be
Yeah,
doing this?
yeah, definitely. There's like, again, there's studies showing that giving makes you more happy, and I was always in that mentality until I was helping the wrong people. Then I'd say it's a little bit shifted my mindset. but not in the wrong way per se. Like just being more cautious, and that's actually my upcoming newsletter, which is like about free work. But again, you cannot really give free work to anyone, right? Like you have to be, I don't know, aware to what kind of people you're, like you will do that. And yeah, I mean, maybe I wouldn't have the same motivation, but I will still do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm pretty confident you're going to be able to do it. So
Yes,
it's a
hopefully.
pretty, yeah, very profound mission to have. So yeah, well, you want to share with the audience some of your links and where they can find you. You know, you're doing a lot of great things. So your newsletter, if you want to just plug that in.
Yeah, everything is on my website. So Imed, Imed, Djabi, DJABI.com. So it's first name, last name, yeah, first name, last name.com.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, thank you. Honestly, this was such an awesome conversation. So thank you so much, Imed, for joining me on the Philosopreneur podcast, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.